Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Bedtime Stories. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Jamilah Ghafur and I will be reading to you today. So my lovelies, those of you who already know me and you watch Bedtime Stories, you'll know what we do next. And those of you who don't and have just started watching, thank you and welcome. So we do bedtime stories, and before we start, I always say, have you brushed your teeth? And are you cozy in your pajamas? If not, don't worry. You can do it after we finish reading. And those of you who have already brushed your teeth and are ready to go, well done. Excellent job. So today I have chosen for you a really nice book. It's called More Quran Stories. Have you heard of that book? Yeah? It's really interesting and it's knowledgeable. Before we start, I will just give you a little bit of an advice is please read, even if it's just 10 minutes before bed, every single day. I tell my children the same thing, to read 10 minutes before bed. Even if you're just looking through the pictures, or if you're sitting with a younger sibling or an older sibling, a cousin, a relative, parents, just 10 minutes a day makes a big difference. It helps with our memory and it makes us clever. Very good. So, are we all cozy and comfortable? All right, then let's get started. Now, the book I've chosen for you, as I mentioned earlier, is called More Quran Stories. Really, really nice, simple book and easy to read. And you can get it from any shop, any Islamic shop. More Quran Stories. Some of these stories are my favorite. Now, the first one that I will be reading to you is called The Story of the Two Gardens. Story of the Two Gardens. Beautiful picture. Long, long ago, there lived two friends. One of them was a rich gardener, while the other was a poor farmer. The gardener owned a huge plot of land. The plot was very, very big. He cultivated his land and very, very nice development into two beautiful blooming gardens. They were full of flowers and all kinds of fruits. What a beautiful garden, especially with grapes and dates. Now we all know what dates are, don't we? We had it just recently in Ramadan. The vineyards were set about with palm trees and watering by the running stream. What a lovely garden he had. Now, just to let you know, these stories are actual factual stories, so then they're not made up. These are based on the Quranic stories that really took place. Whenever the gardener would visit his gardens, he would be thrilled by seeing trees laden with ripe fruits. His heart would be filled with pride and arrogance. That means he would be very happy and extremely pleased with himself because his garden was so, so nice. He would think this was all a result of his hard work and his planning. He would ignore the fact that his entire fortune was actually a blessing from Allah. Without Allah's help, no one can achieve a single thing on this earth. Without Allah's permission, you can't do anything. One day, his friend, the poor farmer, visited him. The gardener took him around his beautiful garden and proudly said to him, I am richer than you. My clan, my group of people, are stronger than you and stronger than your group. Looking at his garden, he continued, surely nothing will ever happen to my garden. My garden is so beautiful. And he went off, puffed up with the evil of wealth. He went on denying the day of judgment. Nor do I believe that there is an hour of doom that will ever come. He said to his friend, I don't think anything could destroy my garden. I don't believe anything will ever happen. That's what the rich man said. Now, I'm excited to know what happens next. But it's not good that he was talking like that. And we know as Muslims, we're not allowed to speak like that. We have to always say, Alhamdulillah for everything we have. But I think he did something wrong. Do you? Should we find out what happens next? Then he added, even if I return to Allah, I shall surely find a better place than this. Little did he realize that all this was wishful thinking. It's what he thought. When the poor farmer noticed that his friend was behaving in a very bad way, he tried to correct him. He added, have you not any faith in whom he created you from dust, from a little germ, and fashioned you into a man? The poor man went on, as for myself, Allah is my Lord, and I will associate no one with him. I will not compare anyone to Allah, said the poor farmer. He advised the gardener that instead of entering the garden proudly, he should have gone into it with humility and should have said, what Allah has given me must surely come to pass, and there is no strength except with Allah. So that means he should be thankful when he goes into the garden and be mindful that it could just vanish very quickly if Allah wanted it to. Though you see me poorer than yourself and blessed with fewer children, the farmer argued, yet my Lord may give me a garden that's better than yours and send down thunderbolts from heaven upon your vineyards, turning them into a barren waste, or drain their water deep down into the earth so that you will get no benefit from it. Allah might destroy your garden and you will have nothing left, said the old farmer. The very next day, calamity struck. All the fruits were destroyed. The gardener wrung his hands with grief at all that happened had spent on them, for the vines had tumbled down upon their trails. On seeing this, he realized his mistake and cried, what I had served no other gods besides my Lord. He cried that he made a big mistake and he told Allah. If only he didn't act so proudly, then maybe Allah might not have destroyed his garden. So that rich man, he realized his mistake. Do you think he realized his mistake? I think sometimes we can accidentally be too happy. Like, for example, if you get a new toy or something, a new game to play with, and you might think your game is better than your friends and you don't want them to play with it. That's called being arrogant. So we mustn't be like that. We must be happy and say, Alhamdulillah, we have a new toy, and we should share it with our friends and our family. So this story is meant to teach you, the believers, never to speak proudly, but to say in all humility, whatever Allah has ordained for me, whatever Allah has given me, must surely come to pass. There is no power but with Allah. So don't forget, boys and girls, always say Alhamdulillah for everything that you have. Now, if I move on to the next chapter, Allah speaks to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Oh, I'm excited for this story. Have you read this story before? Who knows about our Prophet Musa alayhi salam? Maybe you already have some knowledge about it. You can help me read the story. About 300 years ago, Egypt was ruled by a very cruel king called Fir'aun, or Pharaoh. Wow, 300 years. Can you imagine how long that is? That's a very, very long time, isn't it? One day, a court soothsayer told Fir'aun that year a boy would be born among the tribe of the children of Israel, who would destroy him and his kingdom. That doesn't sound very good, does it? Oh dear. Fir'aun was very, very angry. He was enraged, and he ordered all newborn boys of the tribe to be killed. The children of Israel, already enslaved by Fir'aun, suffered the torment of seeing their newborn sons being hurt, while only their daughters were kept alive. During these horrible times, a pious woman called Yucabid of the children of Israel gave birth to a beautiful boy who was named Musa, or Moses alayhi salam. She was told by Allah that this was a very special child who would one day be a great prophet. Wow, can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Allah said a newborn baby in your family is going to be a prophet? That is so exciting. That's so amazing. Allah inspired her to put him in a box. That might sound a bit scary, but there's a reason why Allah said to put him in the box. Let's find out what happens next. Allah inspired her to put him in the box, which she was to cast into the river Nile, with a promise that her baby would be safe. She obeyed. She listened to what Allah asked her to do. And as the waves carried the little box away, his sister kept a watch on it until it stopped at a bank near the royal palace. A bank is where a river flows and there are sides to it and it stops. That's called a bank. So it stopped at the royal place. Let's see what happens next. There, it was picked up by a member of the Fir'aun's household and brought to the queen. The queen was a loving and kind-hearted woman. She saw the baby. Her heart was touched, and she exclaimed in a very happy way, "What a lovely child! Whoever sees him cannot but love him." Despite the king's objection, the king did not want to keep the baby. The queen decided to keep the baby in the palace and rear him as her own child. She wanted to look after this baby they just found and raise him up as her own. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, brought up with lots of love and lots of care by the queen. He received the best education. But because Musa alayhi salam accidentally hurt someone very badly, Fir'aun intended to hurt him too. Therefore, Musa alayhi salam quietly left the city and journeyed to Madian, where he met the Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam and married Prophet Shu'aib's daughter. So, Prophet Musa hurt someone. Now, the Fir'aun, remember, is in charge and he wasn't happy. Therefore, Prophet Musa left Egypt and went to Madian and married Prophet Shu'aib's daughter. Are we keeping up? Excellent work. Okay, so after spending some years in the beautiful valley of Madian, Musa alayhi salam returned his family to Egypt, the beautiful Egypt. They travelled slowly towards Mount Sinai, passing through awesome landscapes of the desert and rock. Can you imagine how hot it is in the desert? How dry? It must have been very, very tiring for them, but a beautiful sight. One cold evening, as it grew darker and a cool breeze began to blow, they seemed to have lost their way. Musa alayhi salam looked around and noticed a fire quite far away on the other side of the mountain. He said, "Wait here. Look, I can see a fire in the distance. Maybe I can find out where it is, or at least get a burning brand to warm ourselves up." They were so cold. It became so cold so suddenly. As Musa alayhi salam reached the source of the light, Allah spoke to him and gave him wisdom and miracles. Wow, that is just amazing. Prophet Musa alayhi salam spoke to Allah. Allah told him that He had chosen him to be the messenger and commanded him to go with these signs and give his message to Fir'aun. Remember, Fir'aun is that king, but his wife was very nice. The Fir'aun who lived in Egypt, who had made himself a tyrant of the land. He was a baddie. He wasn't very nice to his people. So Allah made Musa alayhi salam the prophet and commanded Musa alayhi salam to spread the message of Islam and give dawah to Fir'aun. I really enjoyed that story, guys, and I hope you did too, my lovelies, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already brushed your teeth, please go and brush your teeth. Get cozy in your PJs, and I will see you for the next bedtime stories. See you again soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.